All right, Cyber Traders, we are back this Tuesday, September 7th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back, of course, at this time of the day for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Tony, Gene, Kathleen, and all of our students otherwise live inside Cyber Group. Folks, I did not do a sound check before I started here. Just let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. And then for all of us on Facebook Live and YouTube, I hope that you can hear me loud and clear. I thought there was a tech issue at first, but great to have you back. Great to see. It looks like everyone's good to go here. Perfect. All right, so right now, DIDI here, DIDI, actually a pretty known name inside the trading room, more of a sideless stock than anything. Hey, it's up 9+% right now, albeit pulling back down from the highs. It just ran up beautifully. So I know a couple of us were just in for about 40 or so cents. I thought I saw. Let me just scroll back here on the chat board. Oh no, it was on Clover, CLOV. Kath got 42 cents on Clover. And then I think that if Lewis is in the DD trade, if I'm not mistaken. I'll jump to Clover next. A couple of trades that are pushing up really nicely at this time of the day. So DD being one of them, right away, what we'll do is just put this stock on our watch list for the afternoon. I'll tell you, I've had a pretty sneaky good day today to kick off after Labor Day. So hopefully this will treat me pretty nicely here. It's building up, perhaps a higher low coming up, and we'll look to see this, make a bounce back up later on. So DD, nice to start by putting this on our list, but also there was the Clover stock. That's what it was. The Kathleen got 42 cents on. Lewis was in and out of this trade for like 80 cents a pop, $1.03, just in and out on smaller positions, scaling out from earlier on the morning. He was in from $9, but man, this was like the star of the day today so far. The Clover trade ended up making this big pop. It was, I think, right off of $9.20. We talked about this inside the Traders Talk Workshop, our Q&A that we do every Tuesday morning inside Cyber Group. So, for all of us on social media, I'd alluded to that earlier. Really quick, just to give away the answer on this trade at least. There was an iceberg order on the ask right at $9.20. It was shown from pre-market. I'm not going to bring up my level for right now, but I went very in-depth about that inside the Traders Talk Workshop earlier today. And, it ended up just re-breaking above the 920 level after the first 5 minutes right here. Just easy to say, but if you ever wonder, like, hey, how does a stock get from point A to point B? Got to go back and do the studying yourself. And then otherwise, as a group, we do this every Tuesday. But nonetheless, the Clover trade ended up making a really nice push up to 10. And then from there, it got a little choppy, but maintained its trend on the way up and then built up, a nice run up towards 11. What happened at 11 just now is the same thing that happened at 10 earlier today. The false breakout, the first test of major resistance, and then it came back down pretty hard. So, more than anything, it's been a great long trade today. Just buy at the open. Seemingly, you could have made money all throughout the day, but it actually provides us a couple of good short opportunities for us day traders inside the Cyber Group trading room here. So, it's been a great stock altogether. CLOV. So we'll put this on our list also, seemingly enough with DD. I mean, either way, for right now, just, this one pulling back pretty hard. Looks like a lot of selling came in just right off the last 5 or 6 minutes here heading into the afternoon meeting. And how about this? We talk about this all the time. I mean, I say it, hey, if a stock craps out the other way, right? You always hear me say that, at least, here in the afternoons when I did the meeting earlier today, subbing in for Fausto, I said the same thing. Right. And, although ADAP is at the highs now, and definitely now ADAP will be, seemingly an easy long opportunity to see squeeze higher. We'll put it on our afternoon list also. This was a great short once the market opened up. It ended up dropping down as soon as the market opened up, ended up popping and dropping from 6. I ended up going short right from 5.99. It was a very quick 17, 18 cent trade. Jumped in again on this stock as it rebroke below support off of 5.85. Then I ended up getting an extra 12 or 13 there. But nonetheless, this stock ended up finding its legs, ended up making a move back above the line that I kind of left us off with inside that Traders Talk Workshop, that being a 586. Once it rebroke that price, that was it, right? Off and running she went. We had a lot of buying coming in right off of 585, 586. It took a while. It was kind of holding under 590 out of all prices earlier. But, once it broke above the lower line that I had here, and then, of course, 6 from that point, that's it. So for right now, definitely we'll more focus on this trade as a long at first. But, again, kind of like CLOV, if it false breaks and comes back down pretty hard, that could be a pretty interesting opportunity. All right, so I'll tell you what. We ended up starting off our afternoon watch list with 3 really good trades. I mean, we don't need to have a vintage Josh 12, 15 stock watch list here for the afternoon. We don't. I like this trade already, the CLOV stock either way, and then DIDI, if that can keep going. So we'll see what else we can get. There's EFTR, crazy E effector therapeutics, I guess. I don't know. Ended up making a pop-up, got halted once. I don't think it got halted a second time on the way up, and then I don't think it got halted on the way down. Either way, the liquidity is like, garbage right now. It's like, ugh, don't want to deal with a stock like that. So I don't know. Right now, it already made such a big move. If you want to take the gamble more than the educated guess this afternoon, then this could be your stock perhaps, but that's not what we're doing here. See what else we got. The SRZN, you can say the same thing. I mean, this thing's all over the place right now. Ended up making a nice push after 12 o'clock. Broke out from 9 up towards just, right around 12. False broke 12, it seems like, and then came back down pretty hard. OG, same thing. I mean, this was more from the morning. It had better liquidity after the market opened up. Ended up actually making a nice, good move from like 310-ish as it popped. All right, so we'll keep it going here. MTL was on the morning watch list. So, just to check back in with this trade, I thought that this stock had a pretty good chance of filling the gap on the way down. And I'll tell you what, I ended up missing this opportunity. I really took my eyes off this stock, after the first minute. I was more focused on the ADAP trade myself. I was more focused on the AEHR trade, which we'll get to. But hey, if you've been following the morning meeting here today and you heard me talk about this, trying to fill the gap, at least from the daily chart, I mean, this was a true gap, not only from the daily chart, but from pre-market activity. There we go. So with it being shortable, it's actually a really good trade, really, to be honest there. So, right now it's actually making a nice push back up. It pulled back down. What I don't like about this trade is that for every time we're seeing a volume spike, the volume bar itself is smaller than the previous one. So, that's kind of a telling sign there. I'm going to move on from this trade for right now. ZIOP, nice pop from earlier today. Looks like this one ended up doing pretty nicely from like 185 up to 240-ish. So we'll keep it going here. So just kind of skim through this Hippo stock. I saw it get called out earlier today. At first, it was off of like really light volume, which I wasn't a fan of seeing. But now with this moving back up, back to the highs. High of the day at 685 so far. 4,700 share order on the ask. See about 5,000, 4,900 here at 690. I guess for as much as it dropped off, also going back into beginning of last month from 10 down to sub 5. That'd be sub 3, sub 4. Yep. It's already recovered so nicely, but it's still near the highs of the day right now, making a really good comeback. So I don't mind slipping this on for right now, Hippo. If we end up having a really stacked, back end of this list here, then I'll probably give that the boot. But for right now, we'll see what it can do. Kind of a familiar name here and a couple of others otherwise up top. Tal, still at the highs, grinding up pretty nicely today. Now, this stock we're really familiar with ended up getting crushed going back into the end of July. Chinese government ended up forcing a lot of these companies to turn nonprofit, or they looked to at least. So, on that day, we ended up seeing TAL, EDU, GOTU, a lot of these education-based companies in China drop off like 50, 60+%. So, right now, out of all of them, it seems like, let me jump back to EDU if I can. Uh-oh, my charts aren't freezing up here. TAL, at least, we'll put on the main list. It's up the most. It's at the highs right now. So I don't know why that's moving up, whereas the others really aren't moving up as sharply. EDU here is garbage. So, yeah, for right now, TAL, definitely put on the main list. All right, and then what else we got here on the gainers end before we hop over to the losers? Today being Tuesday, I keep thinking it's Monday. I was going to jump over to my Bitcoin stuff and talk about the crash from earlier today. If you can bear with me for about 24 hours, I always like to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, just to keep everyone in the loop at least. Crypto took a bit of a slip going into this morning. Not one that I wasn't prepared for. So if you've been following me, I've been really screaming that from the mountaintops. For one reason or another, we would see a big drop on Bitcoin. We got it. So trust me, I want to talk about it. If you could bear with me 24 hours, we'll go right into it. It actually fell right to where I thought it would ultimately drop down to. So I wish I was there to buy. I didn't accumulate, but I told you folks also on the flip side, I wasn't really in the accumulation phase anymore there. All right, so enough about that. Let's just finish up on the gainers then. We'll go over to the losers list. IFRX, Lex, at least two familiar names from this pre-market at least. We'll hop over to the losers list right now, down 21+%. It's shortable. Hopefully it's at the lows. This is not the type of stock that you want to watch right now. If it showed any more movement than what it's doing right now, I'd be way more interested, but we'll pass. FBRX, hey, we like this stock. We're pretty familiar with this stock dating back to Friday last week. Stock got crushed. I think it was from the after hours the night before, but it was at all-time lows early in the morning that day and only continued to drop again this morning. I wrote them down on my notepad this morning, and I wish I followed up more with them today. Again, I told you I was more focused on the ADAP trade, AEHR. I was also interested in that IRNT trade, that crazy thing. We'll get to that perhaps at the end. FBRX right now, you know what? Volume died off a lot. Volume traded per minute, that is. Again, kind of like the other one I was saying, the volume bars are getting smaller for each spike we're seeing. It moved from earlier today. I'm not as keen to watch it right now for this afternoon. I definitely will remind myself of this at least come tomorrow morning. I think it'll be more active tomorrow morning. AVPT, near the lows, I guess, but not really showing as much life either. It's one at least making a trend. BYSI, just crazy thin order book. Again, I don't need to put a stock like this on our list right now at this point. Market's pretty flat altogether. Oh, man, let's see. Got the ANY trade. Let's see what this was up to. Yeah, it only ended up dropping off a little bit more. I caught 8 cents on this trade. One of our students, Patrick, called it out. ANY has been on our side list across the last week. It's been on a huge tear up until Friday last week, and only continued to drop today. So, you can only get as much as the stock will give you. So I ended up jumping on this trade right from 6 on an under and over. But with looking at ANY, I kind of coincide ANY with BBIG here. BBIG, I mean, they're not trading together, you could tell. But BBIG right now getting a little love, up 1+%, not up a whole lot, but pushing up from 8. So perhaps this could be the beginning of a nice run for us heading into the close. Maybe I'm more hopeful than anything, but as I'm flapping my gums, look what this thing's doing. So you know what? Again, we're not at 20 just yet, so I don't mind putting this on our watch list. And I'm sarcastic when I say 20. I really try and max out at 10 or 12, really. So far right now, we're at 2, 4, 6. That's just fine by me, folks. If there's anything else that I missed, definitely let me know. If there's anything else that looks really good, type it in the chat boards. So from P Trader, just catching back up with YouTube right now. We talked about DIDI right away from the get-go on that trade. So already on our list, where do you see the next target to? If that was in relation to DIDI here, then we've got to see what happens at 10. If you were referring to Bitcoin, as I was kind of chirping about that before, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. NMTC from a down halt. No, we're not going to trade down halts. No, no way. The stock gets halted on the way down. That's a wrap, Mitch. That's game over. All right, I'll tell you, folks, we're making good with time. I mean, we don't really have class this afternoon, so no real rush. But I'll tell you, we're pretty much all set. If there's anything else that makes a big move as soon as we finish up this meeting, then we'll try and call it out together. But otherwise, there isn't really as much of a need to scan right now from this point. We've got a really good list between the ADAP, CLOV, DIDI, the top 3 on the watch list. I feel really good about. And then otherwise, TAL is at the high still. That can make a nice push. BBIG, if that can keep going from where we left off on that trade, right? So there's definitely some good opportunity here heading into this Tuesday afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry. From P Trader here, he was asking, where do you see the next target on TAL, the stock? Next target 2. I thought I gotta look closer at the screen there. So for right now in the TAL trade, it's just very choppy. You would assume the next whole number level, that being 6, to be your next big resistance. That's what I would assume. But then otherwise, if it breaks that, and if we're looking at more of a historical level from the daily chart, then, I mean, you definitely have resistance and orders in between 6 and 670-ish, but kind of seems like 676, 672. The highs dating back to early to or late July to mid-August here. All right. Question from one of our new members joining us on YouTube, Will, and for all of our new members joining us on Facebook Live or YouTube today, welcome on aboard. First and foremost, to Will, if you're interested in learning more about what we do, I would just suggest joining us live inside our trading room. I got to say, go right down to the link on the banner below. Now, if you're not interested in doing that just yet, then I always type my email address here in the chat board, josh@ctutrading.com. If you have any questions, any specific trading-related questions that you would like to ask after this meeting, feel more than free. Send it right over to me, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you just afterwards. But aside from that, though, that's where I would say if you're new to this, if you're inexperienced, the last thing that you want to do is just throw a dart on the wall and hope it lands. Like, for instance, again, just to go back on ADAP, that stock's ripping right now where it was from earlier, but it took a long time for that to do so. So, coming off of good news, you might think that this stock would run up much quicker than it did. If you jump in here, you're pulling your hair out, wondering what's going to happen, if it's going to keep pushing up or if it's just going to keep dropping back down. Look at the IRNT trade. Again, this is like the best example of that, right? Like, good news came out on this stock this morning. You would think maybe at some point this could find its legs and run up. If you're inexperienced, then I would certainly say more than anything to join us live inside our room, just so you can get better educated with the strategy itself. All right. But for any of our attendees otherwise, perhaps that are more familiar with our strategy, or more so our students inside our live trading room, got Norman, Brian, Bobby, Gary, got 102 of us right now. I'll talk to you folks coming up pretty shortly. I'm going to jump onto a coaching call coming up at 3 o'clock. I'll be back on at 3:30. But again, for these stocks right now, near the highs of the day, you would hope to see continuation. For the stocks that would be near the lows of the day, there's not here on our list right now, you would hope to see continuation. But it's not as cut and dry as that. You always want to make sure that you're taking a trade directly after a stock breaks through a big level on the way up. All right. So, aside from that, though, folks, I'll talk to you coming up pretty shortly here at 3:30. Take care.